Ariel Helwani for mmarated.com at the American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, and I'm standing next to the Strikeforce light heavyweight champion, Bobby Southworth, who tomorrow night at the HP Pavilion defends his title against Renato Babalu Sobral. And Bobby, we're just over 24 hours away from the fight. First off, I have to ask you, how's the weight? How you feeling?
Good. I mean, I only got about 3 pounds to cut, so I'm a lot lighter than I usually am. Probably in a lot better shape. Hired a strength and conditioning coach for this one and a nutritionist, and I think it's going to pay off.
A lot of trash talking in the last week, mostly coming out of his camp. I don't know if you heard what he recently said. He said that this was the biggest mistake of your life, that you called him out, and that he'll walk right through you. I'm loosely, relaying his words here. So I'd love to get your thoughts on Babalu's recent comments.
I don't really like giving interviews before the fight, and I don't really listen to the interviews or pay attention to the press, but nobody walks through me. So if that's what he thinks, then I hope he prepared well for this fight. He better bring his A game.
Did you actually call him out though? Is that how it all went down?
I never called him out. Strikeforce actually went to him and was negotiating with him to try to bring him into the Strikeforce fold, and what they offered him was a title fight. So he was brought into Strikeforce to challenge for the title, and he knows that, and I knew that. And back when the first Playboy Mansion show happened, he was actually there at the Playboy Mansion, and we were going to try to hype the fight up there. The fight was pushed back, I'm not sure why, and then it was rescheduled for later. So I've never called him out. All I've done is reiterate the fact that Strikeforce had lined him up to be my next opponent. So, this is business for me. I don't make it personal. I think that clouds your mind when you go into the ring, and, if it's personal for him, great. I'm just coming there to do my job, and I plan on doing it well.
If you look online, a lot of people counting you out in this one, despite the fact that you are the champion and you've been holding that title for a long time. You feel a little disrespected about all that?
Like I said, I don't really pay attention to what the general public thinks. When I fight, the only people I'm trying to impress are other fighters and the hardcore MMA fans that have been there since the beginning, since the days when I was fighting up and down the West Coast on Native American reservations, and the sport was banned from television and was basically considered illegal. All of the new fans that have jumped into the sport, it's great that the sport is becoming mainstream, but those people, they really haven't educated themselves on what this sport is really about. They're still watching for blood and to see the early era of the UFC and the tough man competitions. And I don't think they have a lot of respect for fighters as martial artists and as athletes. And until they start showing respect to us, I'm not going to show any respect to them. But I have all the respect in the world for the hardcore fans, for the people that have been there and supported this sport and kept it going through the dark days and the dark ages that it went through. Those are the people that I fight for, and those are the people that I hope are my fans.
Let me quickly ask you, because obviously you train at AK's in the news as of late. What's your take? You've obviously fought for the UFC in the past. What's your take on everything that's gone down in the last 24 hours?
I have no take. Like I said, I haven't been paying attention to the press. I don't fight for the UFC. Their business dealings don't really concern me. I'm concerned for my teammates. I'm hoping, it sounds like their, financial futures are in jeopardy, and that concerns me because we have a lot of great individuals that train here, not just the guys that train for the UFC, but those are the guys who happen to be in the spotlight now. And, I'm hoping things are going to get ironed out for them, and I hope that things work out well, and they can either patch things up, or that there are some greener or just as green pastures for them in other aspects of MMA.
And finally, speaking of the UFC, you were recently invited to do a tough reunion show. And interestingly enough, you were the only non-UFC fighter invited to be on the show. A, were you surprised about that? And B, what was the experience like getting back there and talking about the memories of that first season?
I was surprised to be invited back, being that I'm not fighting for the UFC. But, for good or for ill, season 1 was a large success due to to Bobby Southworth being on the show. I think it would have been an entirely different season if I hadn't have been on there, and maybe that would have been better, maybe it would have been worse, but it was good television. In not fighting for the UFC, I have had a successful career. You've heard a lot of talk about how this tough guy went out and won a belt, or that tough guy went out and won a belt, but I'm the first guy who won gold in a major promotion since being on The Ultimate Fighter. And whether or not the fans are concerned with that, because I'm pretty much considered a bad guy to the new fans of MMA. That's okay, but I've been out there, I've been plying my trade and working my craft, and I'm happy with where my career has gone, and I'm happy with the opportunities that Strikeforce has given me, and I'm happy to have a chance to fight Bob Alou tomorrow night.
Do people still utter those two famous words to you?
Yeah. I mean, like, every time I have a fight and I get these interviews, I always say, I'll never live that down. I'll be taking my grandkids to the park, and some guy will be coming up throwing his Geritol in my face, telling me, I remember back in 2003, hitting me with his cane. What are you going to do?
People have very long-term memories, but nonetheless, tomorrow night at the HP Pavilion, it's Bobby Southworth defending his Strikeforce light heavyweight title against Renato Babalu Sobral. Best of luck to you, Bobby.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.